Now, what is Islam? Well, first of all, important to understand the word Islam itself is not originally an English word. It is an Arabic word that has been Romanized, but the English translation of the word Islam is submission. Same for the word Muslim, that translates to submitter. So the religion is actually called submission. Okay, now submission to what? Submission to God. Submission on two levels. The first one, your exterior, to submit your actions, your external, observable behavior to the commandments of God, such as don't kill, don't steal, don't do that, give for charity, perform your prayers, all those things. That is the focus message of the Torah. Now, the second level of submission is on your interior, to submit your soul to the light of God and not let the darkness take away your light. And that is the focus message of the gospel. Now, as we are born as pure beings, beings of love and light, loving, forgiving, all that. You can still see it with small children, but during this life, we learn a lot of negative things. We learn darkness, evil, hate. We go through hardships, pain, all those things, and they change the way we are. Now, are we able to purify our souls from those effects? That is the choice of our free will. Are we going to choose to be a servant of God? Not only in our actions, but also in our internal state of being. Are we going to be the way that God created us to be? That is, as beings of love and light. Or are we going to be drawn into the darkness, negativity, pain, hate, all those things? That is the focus of Islam. Now, if you want to learn more about Islam, then learn it from the teacher, that is God himself, because the message of the gospel and the message of the Torah are unified in a single scripture, that is the Quran. That is a purified scripture, free from human changes, additions, none of that. That is where you learn Islam. Now, may God guide us all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What is the purpose of life? Those are the important questions. Probably the number one most important question there is, right? Well, in Islam, we believe that this life is a test for the eternal afterlife, a test in which we have to find our way back to God. Our soul is taken out of the spirit realm and put into this life, into this body, into this world, under the influence of darkness, under the influence of hardships. And the question is, are we able to purify and strengthen our soul and come back to the pure system of God? Now, how do we do that? How do we purify our souls? What is a pure soul? Do I know what that is? Have I ever had a pure soul? Yes, we have. When we are born as babies, we're born as pure beings, meaning our soul has not yet been influenced by the effects of this dunya, by the effects of this life, meaning external factors have not yet changed the way we are, the way we think, and the way that we behave. We can still see this with young children. They don't care if you're rich or poor, if you're clean or dirty. When they have a problem with their friends, they move on from it. They don't hold a grudge. They don't seek revenge. They live in the present moment. When they are excited, you see them jumping. When they are like that. Pure beings, like little angels. Love, light, and innocence. But that changes when we grow up. Why? Because we see the reality. We see that there is darkness, evil. We experience pain. We get hurt. And we change. The effects change us. Everything changes us. Our parents, society, school, environment, traumatic events, war, violence. Everything changes the way we are. This is a basic rule of survival, to adapt yourself to the situation, to the environment. Now the question is, are we able to undo those effects? How do we purify our souls from the programming of this dunya? How do we go back to the factory settings of God, that is a pure being of love, light, innocence and peace, and obviously monotheism? Too bad there's not a shortcut, there's no button like reset to factory settings. You can't go back to the past, you can't unknow what you know. We have to go through it the hard way. Now the first step is, know that you have been conditioned. Everything about you, your belief system, the way you are, everything. The second step is identify the programs. Why do you believe the things that you believe? Why are you the way you are? Why do you react like that in a certain situation? How do you feel at that moment? Do you often feel like that? Where does this feeling come from? Go through the entire analysis until you come to the origin of the program, probably somewhere in your childhood or due to a traumatic event. Now, when you have identified the program, now you can do something about it. You can change it. Now understand, majority of people do not go through a process of purification of the soul. They don't come back to the factory settings of God. They follow the programming that has been taught to them in this dunya. Not only a matter of religion, monotheism, but a lot more than that. They let the darkness of this dunya take away their light. And that is really the embodiment of Adam and Eve, who were in the gardens, in the presence of God, in the presence of angels, in the presence of nothing except good. Then why did they follow Satan? Because they didn't know darkness. Only under the influence of darkness do we truly appreciate light. Because tell me, do you appreciate the beauty of the stars during broad daylight? No, you don't. You only see the stars during the night. So now the question is, this is the test of our free will. Are we going to live by the programming of this dunya, by the programming of Satan? Are we going to let Satan change the soul that God created? Are we going to be a servant to the darkness? Or are we going to be a servant of God? Now, if you want to be a true servant of God, you have to go through purification, because God doesn't change the condition of a person until he changes what is within himself. You have to take that initiative. And if you don't go through purification, you can't even reach the true message of the Quran. You might have read the book and memorized the Quran, but your soul wasn't ready. When your soul is ready and you want to reset to factory settings, then you find the system of God explained in the Quran. Guidance for mankind, to lead mankind out of darkness into light, a guidance and a healing of the soul. There's no point at looking at anything other than the system of God, because anything else is only performance. You do not possess the knowledge to know who is guided by God or who is not. So don't look at performance. Change the system. You don't want to change one system of the dunya with another system of the dunya. You want to go back to the factory settings. Do you understand? I hope this helped someone. Assalamu alaikum. May God guide us all.